An open letter to Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, October 2024. Dear Vice President Harris and former President Trump, greetings from Ohio. I hope this letter finds you well. I am writing to offer a perspective that I hope will be of value in the ongoing discussions around the complex issue of abortion. A professor of ethics and theology at the United Theological Seminary in Dayton, Ohio. For much of my career, I have considered some difficult moral questions, but I write to you today as a registered independent because I learned just before that time about one of the most inspiring tales and changes in thinking regarding abortion from a class. One of my students shared about her own near-death experience, NDE, in a conversation we were having on NDEs during an academic year 2020. During this, she stated that at one point ran into some little girls up there in heaven. One of the girls, she was shocked when a girl ran to her and called her mom. My student looked bewildered and said she did not know who this child was. The child continued, I know you don't know me because I was a baby inside of your stomach. I've been waiting to meet you. The student had been in tears. She hadn't expected to see her aborted child. Her daughter hugged her, exclaiming, I miss you so much, Mom. The sentence repeated by my suffering student was, I am so sorry, please forgive me. But her daughter said, of course, I forgive you. I understand why you made that choice. Kissing on her cheek, her daughter said, I love you, Mom. But she added, I'm happy up here in heaven. This encounter, though brief, profoundly changed my student's understanding of abortion. This testimony moved the classroom. Another student shared a similar experience of meeting a miscarried baby in heaven. These stories sparked a spiritual transformation among many in the class. Until then, I had never considered the eternal destiny of aborted or miscarried children in such a personal and tangible way. This experience profoundly reshaped my view on abortion. Such testimonies may offer insight and consolation to all involved. Our loving God has an incredibly caring plan for all children, including those who could not be born on earth. I share these stories to disclose some mothers' experiences to illuminate the state of aborted and miscarried babies, not to impose such beliefs on others. In the Bible, we find sympathetic points to such stories. For instance, the prophet Jeremiah confesses, God said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:4-5. NIV, the prophet Isaiah declares, God formed me from the womb to be his servant. Isaiah 49:5. ESV, the Apostle Paul also speaks of this divine knowledge and calling, God, who set me apart from my mother's womb and called me by his grace. Galatians 1:15-16. NIV, I confirm that biological life starts at conception, while our spiritual journeys begin even earlier, as scripture testifies. I support the sanctity of life at the beginning of conception. I am persuaded to spread such a belief nationwide, emphasizing that God cherishes each life from conception. The reason why I write this open letter to you is to plead with you to listen to such moms who met their babies in heaven and to prevent abortion as humanly possible as you can. However, despite my deep desire to end abortion to the point of banning it as federal law, I know that it is not Christ's way to impose such a religious view upon non-Christians. For instance, Jewish people believe that life starts with the first breath according to the creation narrative of Genesis. So, I think it is unethical to force other religious or non-religious people to obey the law of abortion ban. I believe that persuading people not to abort is my Christian evangelical mission. This principle applies not just to abortion, but also to other ethical issues such as divorce, adultery, and suicide. The Roman Catholic Church, for instance, strongly opposes divorce, yet it does not seek to impose its canon law on civil society. Instead, it governs its own members while hoping to influence broader culture through its teachings. I believe a similar approach could be applied to the issue of abortion. Churches can oppose abortion within their spiritual frameworks while allowing civil law to provide space for those with differing views. In Christian teaching, Jesus clearly prohibits divorce except in cases of sexual immorality, Matthew 5:31-32, and adultery. However, most Christian churches look the other way on divorce and adultery, leaving them to civil law. Given this context, I believe churches should uphold the solid moral opposition to abortion within their own teachings, just as they do with divorce and adultery. However, I believe that, like divorce, abortion issues should be left to women under civil law. While I am committed to preventing abortion through dialogue and persuasion with all my strength, I don't want to legalize my Christian view, ignoring non-Christians and others. I am devotedly pro-life, but I cannot force fellow citizens to follow my theological view. Instead, I think the focus should be on reducing the number of women who feel driven to having abortions by being there for them with support and empathy. And I really hope that these reflections have provided support to your continuous discussion and forthcoming policymaking on a complex problem. Sincerely, Andrew S. Park. Andrew S. Park, Professor of Ethics and Theology, United Theological Seminary, Dayton, Ohio.